First off, I want to say thank you for 20 subscribers. I honestly didn't think I would get there this fast. Now, I am not hoping for 100 before the end of the year, because, let's face it, there's only a few days left, and unless I get a massive sub bomb from other YouTubers, I will not get to 100 before the end of the year. My goal is probably for 100 subscribers by the middle of 2020. So, that's just my thank you for that out of the way. Also, hope you had a happy Christmas and any good potential buys from Boxing Day if you're into that stuff. So, I wanted to get this video out early because two occasions. One, it was Christmas, just not that long ago for me, because it's currently late into December 26th. And it's again, 20 subscribers, so thank you very much for that. If you like what you see next for this video, hit like and subscribe if you're new, and be sure to share this, because I honestly want to see, I guess you could say, more of a variety when it comes to melee weapons. It's a lot of people focus on meta, and in that case it's fair enough, but when the weapons I'm about to show can do what they do, is that really necessary? I don't know. If you're endurance runs, then obviously the most DPS you can get, the better, but when these things can do what they can do, it doesn't really seem like much if you're just doing sorties. So, it's up to you in that regard. But anyways, the first weapon we've got for you, eh? Now, I should do one more thing. I've equipped the Neramon Focus School for the Power Strike passive, which will reduce my combo counter by 5 every time, so the purpose of that being, the first test is going to show what it's like with the Cold Start in the Simulacrum, and then I'll do a second test showing what it would look like if the combo count was at maximum. So 220, 12 times, this will just it's just for that. So I've got time to go back, spawn more enemies, so that should give a better idea as to what the potential of these weapons are like when you're already at max and you have the capability of taking on. You can't go any higher, I should say. Whoops. Anyways, the first weapon we got is a favorite of an IRL friend of mine. It's the Silva Aegis Prime. Now, this one's currently vaulted because it was vaulted with Oberon Prime access. However, if you have the relics, you can get the blueprint as an uncommon drop from the Lift T2, Lift Z2, Miso P1, Miso V5, and Axie V7, all uncommon drops. You can get the blade, which from the Miso G1, M2, Neo L1, and Axie C2 as uncommon drops. The guard is rare drops from Neo S6, 7, and 9. And the hilt is a common drop from the Lift C3 and M3, Miso B2, Neo K1, and V5. So, if you have those relics, and you would rather, unless you'd rather buy it, you can grind you get those relics, and you'll need at least one of each. So for the blueprint manufacturing requirements, you need 20,000 credits, 1 blade, 1 guard, 1 hilt, and 10 Oracle cells, with a rush time of 50 platinum, or if you just want to wait, it's 12 hours. Basic stuff there. So, when I saw Melee 3.0 changes, and I was looking at other videos, it seemed like it was going to... anything that had innate elemental was going to struggle a bit, because it didn't have IPS. So, less status effects for condition overload. I was horribly wrong with the Silva Aegis Prime. Now, I was doing some quick tests, and it was doing really well, to my surprise. Now, onto the build. For stance, I'm just using Final Harbinger because I have yet to try 11 Storm. I really should, though. I'll test that after this. But for now, just for reference's sake, I'm just just because I was used to it, I'm gonna use Final Harbinger. As for our elementals, we've got dual stats in the form of Voltaic Strike and Virulent Scourge, giving status chance as well as corrosive damage. Pretty good here, because since it doesn't have Slash, you can't really use Viral on this, which in its own right, Viral's good, but having the ability to strip armor from both corrosive and the reworked heat proc, which if I'm reading right was 5% reduced armor per stacked corrosive proc, again, I could easily be wrong with this, and I'm just reading it the wrong way. So, moving on, for attack speed, I have Berserker and Prime Fury. The Silva Aegis Prime is pretty slow for me, so I felt having both Prime Fury and Berserker on here is kind of mandatory for me, my playstyle. However, you still have flexibility. If you find with, say, Berserker on here, you can drop Prime Fury in favor of things like Prime Reach, Sacrificial Steel. You could add more 90% elementals and swap these out, but it could require a bit more forma. You could add Gladiator Might for extra critical damage, as well as a mini Blood Rush effect. You could add Gladiator Vice, Gladiator Rush for more combo duration if you're having trouble. If you find, like, if in the future this thing if this thing gets a rework and it happens to have IPS for whatever reason, you could, if it has Slash, you could add Relentless Combination, which again, that's just way far in the future. It does not have Slash at the moment, so this is not really an option. You could always, like, if you feel you could always add Weeping Wounds as well. If you want to try going for a heavy attack build, I have yet to try that with Sword and Shield, so take that what you will. I'm probably going to give that a try later, because it definitely seems like a good option, or an okay option, because of 25% base critical chance. So, oh, sorry, I forgot to mention, apologies if you hear that. There's a fan to my right, so if you hear that, sorry, it's really hot here. It's in the middle of summer. So, on to the test. For this test, I'm using 6 165 Corrupted Bombards. Now, this was doing really well. And occasionally I was testing this with my Kavat. If you got something like Crit Pop, it was doing really well there. It's like, see, look at this. It's like, if the enemy deciding to ragdoll off the edge, see? Oh, that damage is just nasty when it's ramped up. Oh, might as well fall from that. And it burnt to a crisp. So, that was the first test with, like, a Cold Start in the Simulacrum. Now on to the test where we do this with the... See? So 5 hits later, I'm back to full count. So, you see, look at this. This is just monstrous. Come back here, you. It's like, you don't need IPS to get this working. Wait, did I just see a slash tick? Hold on. Too many numbers flying there. Let's drop this to 1. Because if I was seeing slash, then you might just get away with it. But it's probably best not to build for it. Actually, no, it's definitely best not to build for it. Okay, so impact and slash. Okay, interesting. I did not see that my first time around. I thought it was just the corrosive and heat doing all the damage. So this thing can proc impact and slash, even though the UI doesn't say so. Though it's probably best not to build for it, since there's likely no base stats, and it's likely doing the damage based off the innate heat damage. So it's calculated from that, likely. So no point building for impact or slash. But the fact that it can use those and condition overload can feed off them, that's making the Silva Aegis Prime even better in that regard. So Silva Aegis and Prime still worth picking up after the Melee 3.0 changes? Yes. Hell yes. This thing is strong, and it's probably still one of the strongest of the Sword and Shield category. I have yet to try the Sigma Noctantis, but I know for a fact that was, in my books, was tied for the Silva Aegis Prime as the strongest. And that was just like for what I was doing. So now let's just get rid of this in case the combo counter feeds. Oh. Now, in terms of Final Harbinger, yeah, you saw it was doing a lot of the Titania float effect, which is I'm still having a bit of trouble with. I really, if you're in tight corridors, like say in the corridors of the Void, the Derelict, or anywhere like that, it probably wouldn't matter as much. But when you've got big open areas such as the Simulacrum, yeah, it's kind of a pain. Anyways, on to the next weapon. Now, this one was mainly, like, the next two were used mainly for a Maim Strikes, the old Maim Strike setup. The next one I have for you is one that was also used for credit farming, the Secura Lecta. Now, with Melee 3.0, this melee weapon got one good change. It got given IPS in the form of puncture and slash. It has no impact, but it also has innate electricity to make up for that. With it more tilted towards slash and the IPS spread, you can get a viral setup working with this. Now, as you see here, it's also got 15% critical chance. It had 5% at base last time I checked before 3.0, and it had a very good status. So it was not really winning any rewards for high damage output. Like, it could do condition overload, but because it didn't have IPS, it wasn't doing very good. But now that it does have it, it can use viral radiation with the slash, as well as a high status chance to really do some damage. There is one problem with whips I found, though. During testing, I tried both Coiling Viper as well as Burning Wasp, both the stances for whips. There are flaws with each stance. But it's different for each one. For Burning Wasp, I had the problem where I couldn't control where I was going. It was like I wasn't standing still. I was constantly lashing forward and not staying still to try and get the enemies that I'm aiming for. So basically, I could end up on the other side of the room before I killed all the enemies if I'm not careful. Whereas Burning Wasp had that was Burning Wasp. Coiling Viper had a completely different problem to it. It was causing so much of the titania float effect from that it was kind of painful. I could not hit them consistently. And again, it's the open area in the simulacrum. If you're in tight corridors, it probably wouldn't matter as much. But if you're not fussed about the Titania float effect, I would use Coiling Viper, because it doesn't have you just bouncing around all over the place. It's like when you're trying to hit a specific enemy or a priority target, like say a bombard, nullifier, or anything like that. So take with that what you will. You could either use Coiling Viper and risk getting the Titania float effect, or you can have Burning Wasp making you bounce around like a madman. That's up to you which flaw you're willing to deal with. Anyways, onto the build. We have Drifting Contact for combo duration and status chance. For our elementals, we've got Virulent Scourge and Vicious Frost, along with Volcanic Edge for viral and heat damage, as well as some status chance to bring the status chance up to 96%. For base damage, we have Condition Overload, because we have Puncture, Slash, Radiation, and Viral, pretty average amount of status procs to make use of to get to a fairly high level. Followed up with Blood Rush. Now, I don't have Organ Shatter on here because I want Blood Rush purely for Berserker. That's where I'm getting my attack speed from. Finally, I have Primed Reach for the extra flat range. Now, if you can amp this up so much. Let's see, because it may not get so much range per se, because the Secura Lecta's base Riven disposition is 1 blip and 0.5 times multiplier, so it won't really get you very far with Rivens, but it won't take you much further with Rivens, I should say, but it's pretty easy to get hold of. At Mastery Rank 8, you can get it from the Parent Sequence for 125,000 standing, and it's got some pretty good perks to it too. So if we flick over to our unused build, we have a base attack speed of 1.25, pretty fast. You could use Prime Fury if you don't want to use Berserker, if you want more consistency. It has a fairly good crit chance, so you can use, you could use Berserker if you want, and the crit will actually help because you're just getting more damage, so more power to that. Base status chance of 30%. If I were to put all the dual stats on, 100% status. Or if you want, or it would be quick to reach 100% status chance from Weeping Wounds. So you've got that going for it. With an innate electricity damage, it's essentially as if you had IPS, and it would feed into. It was like you could get a viral radiation combo from just 3 mods, from 3 dual stats, because the electricity will feed into Volcanic Edge and create radiation. So if you get a viral radiation combo going. Let's go on to this. Now, it's not going to be as nasty, initial damage wise as the Silva Aegis Prime, but it does do a good amount of wave clear, and you're less likely to bump into a bunch of cannon fodder units. So this is a really impossible scenario. Again, because of certain the burning wasp's flaws that I really have a hard time with, it's like it's hard to keep myself in one place. So I think I find myself holding back a lot. You see, it's like it's doing really well. It's like as a single target, it's probably not good in that regard, but it's like it's okay for 165 bombards, but you can probably do better from other weapons in that regard. This thing is more for wave clear, and that is really good because this thing has a unique mechanic where it generates extra credits. So if you're just looking to do some on the side credit farming, you can do that with the Secura Lecta. So let's do this test again because I do not want that combo going down too far. So back at full. So this is what it's like when it's at full. Okay, stay still, Grendel. See, it still does very well for what it wants to do. For what you want it to do. It can do what you want it to do. If you're just a player that wants to go, that just goes up to sortie level or the high level lich farming, then this thing will do you just fine in the damage department. Those were corrupted bombards, for crying out loud. One of the toughest units in the game, and the Secura Lecta was handling them fairly well. So, is the Secura Lecta worth picking up? I cannot give a reason not to. This thing's got good damage. It has innate you can use it for credit farming. It's fairly cool looking too. So no reason to pick this up, and it's pretty early. You can get this fairly early at Mastery Rank 8. So you're not locked behind something like, for example, with the Aegis Prime being Mastery Rank 14. So you can get this fairly early on, or is it 13? I cannot remember the mastery lock for the Aegis Prime. I barely check that these days. And onto the final weapon for today. It's actually right smack next to it, the Scoliac. Why does the Scoliac before Melee 3.0 was used with Rivens with high range just for maiming strike. That was pretty okay. It was really good damage wise, and it was getting insane wave clear. But I have a Riven for this that adds range, and I'm not using this for maiming strike because obviously that's just pretty much useless now. This thing was doing just as well as the Secura Lecta, but it doesn't have any unique mechanic much like in the same vein as the Secura Lecta. So with the Scoliac, you could there are some perks to it. You can get it very early at Mastery Rank 6. It's attainable from the Bio Lab in the dojo. And it's got some good perks to it. It's got the same base attack speed as the Secura Lecta, so it's got a good speed going for it. So it has that going for it. It has a very high Riven disposition of 4 blips, and the multiplier is 1.3, so you can get some good Scoliac Rivens from this. Followed up, it has an emphasis on slash. It has base IP, all 3 IPS stats, so it can feed off a condition overload better than the Secura Lecta can. But here's one thing I found a bit problematic with it. Because its crafting requirements are a little bit on the expensive side. It requires 30,000 credits at base, 15,000 nanospores, 1,200 plastids, a single forma, and 4 mutagen masses. Now, that's a little bit on the expensive side if you're wanting to budget your resources, but if you have the resources, go right ahead, because somewhere in the future, add a rare infested container that drops mutagen masses, much like the rare Grenadier crates and the Corpus crates did. So, if you find, if you got the resources and you have to meet the requirements for the Scoliac at Mastery Rank 6, go right ahead. I cannot recommend this enough. This is a good whip. Appearance-wise, it's really good for the infested aesthetic. I wish the colors were a bit different, though. The coloring was different. Because I found it quite difficult. But it's got it'll have quite the ramp up, much like the Secura Lecta. But once this thing gets a max combo count, you can see it'll start doing some pretty good wave clear level damage. If I can just stop flailing. Stay still, Grendel. I'll have to hold back. And even that does nothing. So, like, that's my main problem with burning wasps, but that's just because I'm using the simulacrum for testing rather than just tight corridors. So I could probably just bounce off small walls in that if I needed to. But that was just from a cold start in the simulacrum. Let's quickly go back and spawn another 6. Start with the So, yeah, this thing is so really good. It's like, look at this. The damage is pretty good. It's like, if you could get like, some consistent status points, or like you could feed more status procs from other means, this thing would take you even further than this fairly easily. And besides, this is 165 bombards. You're more likely to find 1 or 2, so you only have to worry about taking out 2 bombards and a bunch of cannon fire. Sorry, burp. Oh, you survived. So, single target wise, the Secura Lecta and the Scoliac are probably not good for single target damage, but if you're looking for wave clear, these things can do just as well as some of the kings, up until probably the range of 170 to 180 level. After that, it'll start to fall off quite a bit, so it can take you like an hour into a survival, no problem. So, Scoliac, worth picking up? I'd still say yes, given its manufacturing requirements, but given that it's pretty dirt cheap on resources to get the Biolab research, it's like 5,000 credits at base, 25 mutagen samples, 400 plastids, 9,000 nanospores, and 800 polymer bundle. It's pretty cheap to get the research done for this. But bear in mind, this is depending on the size of your clan. This is like at base if it was just like the ×1, so like Ghost Clan. If you have Shadow Clan, it will be 3 times that. Yeah, 10 times that for that. I cannot remember the third tier. But Moon Clan, like, it was just like 1, 3, 10, 30, 100 being the highest at Moon Clan. So it depends on what you're doing, on what clan you're in. But if like in all likelihood, if you're part of a clan, they'll already have the Scoliac researched. So there's that. But Scoliac worth picking up? Yes, very much so. Solid whip. At least serve as a good one until you get something like the Secura Lecta for credit farming. But this, as a generic whip, is pretty good. And if you have a Riven for it, you will not, like, you can do so many things to it. You could do status chance, you could add crit damage because you could use Blood Rush. It's like with the 13% base critical chance, you could add some critical chance initially to get a head start. You could do melee damage if you want to. You could do more range to, like, it's like this thing was reaching, like, if you look back at the Scoliac, 7.53 meters. That's with primed reach and my Riven. So not too shabby there in the range. So it's got the Riven's disposition going for it. It's got a good initial status chance with being at 29%. So just 1% less than the Secura Lecta. So not too shabby. It has all 3 base IPS versus the Secura Lecta's 2. So it's got that going for it. It's got many things going for it actually. So if you want a good, solid, infested whip, I could still recommend picking up the Scoliac. Very good in the damage department. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. Hope you had a very Merry Christmas and good luck with Boxing Day sales if you're just like over in the US, because it's pretty late here, so all the stores here are closed. So good luck with Boxing Day sales if you're into that. I will see you in the next one, because I will still be uploading on the weekend. But I wanted to get out of my way to get this uploaded because 20 subscribers and, like, thanks again, by the way, as well as it being Christmas. So, thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one. Oh, before I go, Grendel hungry. Take some energy, Grendel, and for your suffering. Eat, and eat. Eat. So yeah, with a you, I say bye-bye and say until next time.